Day is not over just yet.
Woohoo! USA! USA!
We have an action-packed hour for you 6 p.m. drivers.
Would I rather be feared or loved? Easy, both. I want people to be afraid of how much they love me.
Matt Skraby wraps up a full day of live and local sports talk.
And that is the whole problem with aliens. You just can't trust them. Occasionally you meet a nice one, but usually they turn out to be some kind of big lizard.
The Skraby Show starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
Hello and welcome into the Skraby Show for May 30th. I can't believe it. I keep doing this to myself. I keep saying, it's May 30th. I can't believe it's May 30th. I swear to you, we just did the whole New Year's thing. But we are heading into the summer. We are heading into the stretch run of the Padres season. And we are going to talk about a lot of stuff today on this Padres off day. Hope you enjoyed Gwen and Chris. Thank you to Alden Gonzalez for joining us there at the end of the show, giving us a little bit of insight on Jorge Lopez and what happened with the Mets. We will talk about that a little bit here shortly in the news of the day, because I do have to apologize to Mr. Lopez. I'll go into that in just a second. We also have the Aztecs football team. We have their schedule, and we have what networks they're going to play on, so we're going to talk about that. Also, later in the show, we're going to go back into Mike Schilt, because there has been a lot of conversation about Mike Schilt and what happened in the post-game press conference yesterday. Now, I'm not going to play the audio again because we've all heard it at this point, 100 times, but we're going to talk about it a little bit more. Also, I want to know if, and you could leave this in the chat or go on Twitter at Matt Skraby, are we still thinking this is AJ Preller's last stand, or has he bought himself another year? And I'll explain when we get into that a little bit later. Plus, Jason Kelce and Kylie, they received an apology, and I'll tell you why they received an apology. I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of what happened with Jason Kelce and Kylie Kelce, I believe her last name is. Yeah, why wouldn't it be? I don't know. Anyway, thank you, everyone, for joining me here on YouTube and Instagram. I'm on my Instagram, at Matt Skraby, MattsKraby, as in boy, Y. I'm also on YouTube, 97.3 The Fan. If you search that, you can go to 97.3 The Fan SD on X and Facebook, 97.3 The Fan. Roll call. Dominic says, great roundtable today, Skraby. Thank you, Dominic. Ben Higgins is the one who really drives that whole roundtable. Ben Higgins keeps it together, I got to say. That was impressive. Being there in the room for the first time, that was definitely impressive. One thing that people don't tell you about the roundtables, brought to you by Roundtable Pizza, is that when you're sitting there for the entire 55 commercial-free minutes of the roundtable, all you can do is just smell the pizza that's in the room. The pizza, the wings, the breadsticks, the ranch dressing. I think Roundtable's got some great ranch dressing, by the way. I don't know about you, but I love pouring as many crushed red peppers I can on top of the pizza and then dipping a little bit of ranch in it. But anyway, you never realize how hungry you are until you sit in a room that is full of open pizza boxes and wing containers, because it smelled delicious. So hopefully everybody enjoyed that. All right, roll call. Kathy is here. If you are a listener to the station, you know exactly who Kathy is. Thank you, Kathy. Maria is here. Brian's here. Joseph's here. Welsh Fryer is here. M. McKee is here. Castro's here. Dominic. Annabelle is here. Prolific is here. And a random ham is here. And I want to apologize to everyone, because last night I kept teasing that we're going to do a daily gripe. We are going to do a daily gripe today. I promise. But last night I got into that discussion about Grayson Murray and everything, so I just felt like going into a daily gripe after having such a serious conversation was not really the best way to go, so I skipped it. But we will have it today. We're going to have a much more positive conversation on today's show, I believe. So strap in, because we are about to get started. I'm looking at this, Joseph. I'm completely ashamed that I have yet to try Roundtable Pizza. I gotta say, and I'm not just saying it, Roundtable Pizza is great. I love Roundtable Pizza, and I'm not just saying that. I promise you. before we even got sponsored by Roundtable, here's something behind the scenes. During the off seasons, Tony, on days that he, didn't have dinner at home, he would order pizza for the studio because it would help. He would always pay for it because it would make him feel better about ordering a whole pizza for himself. And then Chris and I would join in. But he always got Roundtable pizza. And that was well before we started the Roundtable. So we're not just lying to you here and saying that we love Roundtable. We actually do love Roundtable. Another thing about a radio station, free food is gone in about 5 seconds flat. So once the Roundtable is over, we kind of get our stuff, and then they bring everything out to the kitchen. I went and ran an errand in between the Roundtable and this show, or the Gwen and Chris show, and I came back and everything was gone. Everything. So if you're ever in a radio station and there's free food around, make sure that you get your food first, because it will be gone when you get back to it. So there you go. A little radio station, I guess, rule right there. All right. I guess I've flapped my gums a little bit here. Too much? No, not too much. Let's go.
It's time to get caught up on the latest with the news of the day.
All right, news of the day. We're going to start with Jorge Lopez and what happened with the Mets and all of that, because a lot did happen today. We talked about it last night. I played the audio on the show last night of him saying that he was on the worst team. I have listened to the clip a lot, and I really think that he does say teammate, but I don't know if I would have picked that out if I didn't know that's what the word was supposed to be. So Jorge Lopez, he got ejected from the Mets game yesterday against the Dodgers after arguing with an umpire. As he's walking off the field, he threw his glove over the netting, and it ended up in the stands, which I think is a really cool souvenir, by the way. But, you can't do that. You just can't throw your glove over the netting. Well, then they go and they interview him in the clubhouse after the game, and he's obviously frustrated, and he said that he was feeling like he was on the worst team in Major League Baseball. He came out after and said that the media totally twisted his words, and I would like to apologize to Jorge Lopez, because I did what I used to do back in the day, and that was because I didn't have, self-confidence, and that would be to jump in the group of people making fun of the other person, basically so they didn't make fun of me. And that's what I did yesterday. So this morning when I'm reading through everything, I felt pretty bad. I really do feel bad for him. And further than that, he was DFA'd by the Mets, so he's no longer on the team, but his son is undergoing some medical problems and needs a transplant. Now, I don't know exactly what he needs or anything like that, but his young son, there's a lot going on in Jorge Lopez's mind right now. And so I can't sit here and condemn a guy for having a bad maybe 20-30 minutes, because I have bad 20-30 minutes all the time. The other thing that Alvin Gonzalez said at the end of the show that I thought was spot on was that where were the Mets when this was all going on? Because they need to protect him. And again, Jorge Lopez, English is his second language. And so I guess we do have to take what he said and realize that maybe there was something lost in translation. Maybe, and he posted on Instagram that he did not say his team was the worst in baseball. He said he was the worst teammate in baseball. And as Alden said, you don't know if he's just trying to save face, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. And I'm going to say that the Mets are making a real big mistake here by not showing a little bit of kindness and a little bit of patience. I know that the Mets are really bad right now, but is it Jorge Lopez's fault that they're bad? I mean, he may have had some bad innings pitched, but I don't know that it's all his fault. And with everything that's going on with his son and all of that, I do feel very bad for Jorge Lopez, and I'm just hoping that things go well for him going forward, because I hate hate. I never use that word, but I hate that people out there are going to forever say that that's the guy who said he was on the worst team of all time. That's one of the things that I hate about society, is that, and I'm guilty of it, trust me. I'm definitely guilty of this, where I see one thing and then that's my opinion forever, and that's not fair. But SNY furthered this whole thing by sending out the tweet and then quoting it, saying, and they knew what they had. They knew that they had a tweet that was going to go crazy. So, long story short, I apologize to Jorge Lopez for making fun of him and jumping on the bandwagon. I hope everything goes well for him, and I hope everything goes well for his family. So, we'll update you here going forward on what happens with Jorge Lopez. I don't know. I don't think he's been that good this year, but I saw a couple people on the chat saying, should the Padres kick the tires? And obviously the Padres are going to kick the tires, but we'll see. We'll see. The Mets just needed a fall guy, and I hate that it ended up becoming Jorge Lopez. All right, second news story of the day, and these are not hard-hitting news stories at all, but Caleb Williams and the Bears are set to be the Hard Knocks team this summer. Now, Hard Knocks, over the years, I have not really loved it. I think it's, in my mind at least, run its course. I loved Hard Knocks years ago. I loved being able to get inside the team and see what happens during a training camp. And I loved being able to see, even though it was, for some of those guys, the worst day of their lives or professional careers, by being cut on camera, I loved being able to see what happens inside of a football team. But now that we're getting more and more of these shows, and teams are even doing this now themselves, doing little inside looks, I don't know that Hard Knocks is a must-watch anymore. I will be watching because I want to see what Caleb Williams is up to. I don't think this is a good idea for the Bears, but they don't really have a choice. The NFL kind of forces teams into this. I think that Caleb Williams would probably be better off not being on Hard Knocks because he's going to be distracted. And he could say he's not going to be distracted, but when a TV crew is there trying to get interviews from you, trying to get sound bites from you, you're going to be a little bit distracted. Annabelle says, nobody wants to see Caleb Williams on TV more than Caleb Williams. I won't go that far, but I have said that I'm not a fan of Caleb Williams and the fanfare that goes around him. Anyway, the Bears are going to be on Hard Knocks. I don't really think that's a big deal anymore. I don't know. If you think it's still a great show, let me know in the YouTube chat or on Twitter at Matt Skraby. Third and final story, and this is a gossip story. And I know I might anger a few people out there with this, but Jason Kelce and wife Kylie received an apology from a New Jersey mayor following a video of an altercation with them. So they were in Margate City, New Jersey, and the mayor sent out this Facebook post saying, quote, on behalf of the city of Margate, I'd like to formally apologize to Jason and Kylie Kelce for the experience they had in Margate City over the holiday weekend. As a father with young children, I know as well as anyone the importance of a date night with your wife and would like to offer a redo date night with dinner on me. Now, if you didn't see, there's a video of a woman who tried to get a picture with the two when they were walking, I believe, into the restaurant. I'm not going to play the video because it doesn't really make sense to play it on the radio, but you could definitely find it if you just type in Kylie Kelce into your social media or into Google. But this woman says, you'll never be allowed in this town again, which I've never heard of Margate, New Jersey before. But here's the thing with this. I understand that Jason and his wife, Kylie, have the right to say no to a photo. I understand if they were at dinner, sitting down at the table in the middle of their meal, I completely understand. But it seemed like they were walking into the restaurant. And I'm not blaming them for anything because this woman took it to the next level. But when you put yourself everywhere, you can't expect for your life to go back to being what it was before. Now, Jason Kelce's a famous guy. I don't think as many people knew his wife or her personality. But now that they do, people are starting to recognize her as well. I really don't think that you can expect people not to ask you for a picture. I've seen the Kelce family on the Today Show. I've seen them on CNN. I see them everywhere. And it may have just been a little bit easier for you to take that picture real quick rather than getting into an altercation on the street. And again, I know that this woman who started the altercation is the one to blame. I am not blaming the reaction of Jason and Kylie. I am just saying that when you're that famous and, for lack of a better term, sold your soul for the fame, I know they didn't sell their soul. I think that there are certain things that you just have to do. And walking into a restaurant, having someone say, "Can I take a picture with you?" Just do it. The woman accosted them in the middle of the street. Come on, it's unreasonable to say it's reasonable to say no. I don't think so. I can't get myself behind this. If she was up in their face, like, "Hey, let me take a picture or else," which it did turn into, then I get why they wouldn't want to. But is it really that hard to just stop for 5 seconds, 10, 15 seconds and get a photo? I don't know. But the mayor is trying to bend over backwards to make sure that the Kelseys come to his town of Margate again. I know it's a hot take about something that's not really sports related, but I saw this all week and everybody's like, "Yeah, stick up for yourself, Kylie. Stick up for yourself." And she did. She did stick up for herself. She does not need Jason Kelce to help her out in any way possible. And I'm not just hating on the Kelseys. I am not hating on the Kelseys. I promise you that. I'm coming at this from a neutral journalistic viewpoint, everyone. Me, journalist. Haha. All right, that's it for the news of the day. The Aztec schedule, we'll get into it a little bit because they do have some nationally televised games we'll get into. But when we get back, we're going to talk about Mike Schilt. And we're going to talk about whether or not he's actually gaslighting the fan base. Because that's the word that we've been using a lot. Gaslighting. And so we'll talk about Mike Schilt. We'll talk about the Padres. And we'll talk about AJ Preller when we get back here on the Skraby Show on 97.3 The Fan.
Did you
Matt Skraby back with you here on the Skraby Show, or the Skraby Chronicles, whatever you want to call it, here on 97.3 The Fan. You can join me on YouTube if you want to watch. Just go to YouTube, search 97.3 The Fan, or you can go to my Instagram at Matt Skraby. You can also go to X at 97.3 The Fan SD and watch there. So in studio right now, we're going to get into Mike Schilt in just a second. But in studio right now, on one of the TVs, we have a little bit of the Scripps National Spelling Bee. Now, you all are very lucky at this moment because you are talking to the third grade spelling bee champion of my school. And that is 100% the truth. And my word was chlorofluorocarbons. Chlorofluorocarbons was my winning word. CHLOROFLUOROCARBONS. So there you go. I should have tried out for Scripps National Spelling Bee, and I would have been eliminated in the first local round that they had, because some of these words I've never even heard of in my life, and I have no idea how these kids know how to spell all these things. But it's kind of fun to watch it, to be honest. It is kind of fun. All right, Mike Schilt. The word gaslighting has been brought up lately, and this all stems from a couple of the post-game press conferences that have happened in the last couple weeks. I'm thinking that there's only been two that come to mind immediately. It would be yesterday's, and it would also be the one after the Rockies swept the Padres, where Mike Schilt had a little bit of an exception to saying that his team got beat up. And then yesterday, he had an exception to the phrases roller coaster and rough patch, which people are giving him the business. And there's a couple ways to think about this, and we talked about this off the air. I don't know. I mean, I can't really say this is what he's doing, but my kind of idea is he, and I think maybe even Wood said this morning, is he doing this? Is he causing these controversies in a post-game press conference because he wants to draw attention towards him and away from his team? Because if so, I think it's brilliant, because we're not talking about the team as much as we are talking about the press conferences that Mike Schilt has been giving lately. And is he gaslighting? No, I don't think he's gaslighting. I choose to believe that he is telling the truth, because why do we have any reason to not believe him? And everyone has their own truth. And if we're seeing this picture of Mike Schilt being a guy who loves to be positive, which I do like, because you need positivity, you also need to kind of criticize. But we don't know what happens behind closed doors. And I got a tweet earlier today when we were talking about it during the roundtable. But it was basically like, if he's doing this in front of the media, then what is he doing that in front of his team? And I would think no. And, I talked to Tony off the air. I said, are managers completely different? And, it's not completely different, but managers do take a different tone when there's no media around, when it's just a team meeting. Managers are different people behind closed doors with their team. And all he's doing, and I don't understand why people are so angry with him, but all he is doing is defending his team. He brought up that they've won 7 of 9 series, which is correct. They're one game over 500. They have, 30-29? They have 102 more games to go. So Mike Schilt, in his mind, this isn't even the incline on the roller coaster. This is maybe just starting to go up the roller coaster, because the rest of the season is where it's going to be proven for this team. And I don't think that Mike Schilt in any way is gaslighting by saying that, or by defending his team, by saying that they didn't get crushed by Colorado. And I know I'm kind of paraphrasing there, to yesterday say, aren't we going to talk about the good things? We won 7 out of 9 series. I think those are the things that he believes, and I have no issues with him bringing those up. Now, on the other hand, I do think possibly there needs to be maybe some recognition, maybe that's the right word, of At times they play really bad. And he did say yesterday that they were sloppy, and that's good. But I think what I think what most people want is for him to come out and just be like, we were awful. We stunk. Kind of like a Ron Washington thing. When Ron Washington called out his player and said, he didn't get the bunt down. It's his fault. I'm not playing the game. And I don't think we'll ever see that. I just don't think we'll ever see that from Mike Schill. I don't think that's his personality. I don't think that that's something that he is interested in doing publicly. And if he goes into that press conference and says, all right, you got me. We are going through rough patches. We're going through season roller coasters. What does that tell his team? It tells his team that their manager doesn't believe in them. But when they see him go out there and he says things like, I believe in my team. We've won 7 of the last 9 series. Why aren't we talking about these good things? Why aren't we talking about this good thing? They're taking note, the players are, that Mike Schultz going to back them. And that's huge. And you need that in a clubhouse, especially in baseball. I think baseball is the most important in all the professional sports. The manager is the most important because he has to keep this thing together all season long. And so Mike Schill is like, we're 59 games in. We haven't even hit the stretch run yet. So what are we talking about, a rough patch? Now, do I get why people are saying rough patch? Yes, I do, because it is frustrating. And they are just 1 game over 500, the Padres. And Manny Machado is not playing well. And Fernando Tatis Jr. is not playing well. But I just don't think we're ever going to see Mike Schill admit something unless they lose 7 in a row, 8 in a row. Chris says on the chat, I think people are also missing the fact his team just got smoked. They pitched, played defense, and hit horribly. He probably wasn't in the cheeriest of moods. I know I wouldn't have been. M. McKee says Schill is doing the right thing. Curious to see if he'll sound the same in July, August if the team is still hovering around 500. That's a really good point, M. McKee. Because the tone does need to change as the season goes along. And I do think as the season goes along, he's going to adjust his approach, and maybe he goes into a motivation mode and says things in the post-game press conferences that might motivate his players. But I believe Mike Schill is going to come at it with positivity all the time. So I'm not really sure why people are saying he's gaslighting, because he's not. Gaslighting is to me, I was trying to explain it to Chris because he's not real sure about the definition. But gaslighting to me is like if Mike Schill was trying to make me believe that this team was the best team in Major League Baseball and just kept telling me these things, oh, this team is so great. When they're not the best team in Major League Baseball, that's gaslighting. I don't have a problem with him bringing up certain positive things because I think everybody needs a little positivity here and there. And I think everybody in this town wants this team to win. And I think Mike Schill wants this team to win. I don't think I know Mike Schill wants this team to win. But I don't know why we're reacting to the losses that we have this season so far with such dire, what's the word I'm looking for? With such a, for lack of a better term, crazy reaction. I felt in the beginning of the year when they were under 500 and they were losing games that they should have won, yeah, it was a little bit of a, whoa, what's going on here? But when you're winning series, I feel like they're in the right spot right now. They don't need to lead the division now. I mean, would it be nice? Yes, of course. It would be nice to lead the division all season long. All they need to do is just stay above 500, get 5, 6, 7, 8 games over 500, and just continue to win series. Greasy says, I want to sweep, Skraby. I do too, but it's not the end of the world if it doesn't happen. I think someone also put on Twitter replying to one of my things saying the Nationals in 2019 when they won, they didn't win more than 4 games. The Braves didn't win more than 5 games. So I can see why people are upset, but if they're not losing 7, 8 in a row and they're losing 1 out of 3, I think we should be happy with that for now. And as the season goes along, they need to pick it up. But right now, you're you just put on cruise control. And I know that's kind of a lazy way of saying it, but you're sitting back and let's do it this way. If I'm going to go with this driving analogy, you're just going up the grapevine. And so once you get to the top, that's the middle of the season, and now you're coming down, and now things got to roll downhill. Man, I got through that one. Whew. Rob says, winning the series are also good. We just need to get a playoff and win all the series. Yes. Random Ham, we all want sweeps, but I'll take winning series because that will always keep you above 500. Brandon, also about the sweep thing last night. I know someone told you the Cards swept the Orioles, but the Rangers swept the D-backs this week. So that's another one off the board. So I think there's only like 2 teams left. Blue Jays and the Padres don't have a sweep this year, which is kind of crazy, I got to say. If the A's are able to do that, then I think the Padres can do that. Emiki says, would be nice to see some consistency. And I do know what you mean. But isn't winning series consistent? I'm glad you brought that up because I was thinking about this on the drive down. Isn't winning series consistent? If we're looking at baseball in a series format, and not some guy, he's probably listening right now, but he at the dog park thinks that they should change the MLB standings to series wins because it tells a better tale. And I don't disagree with that. I think consistently winning series is consistency. All right. A lot of big words for me to say. Thank you to everybody who listened. We're going to talk about Jeremiah Estrada when we get back. We're also going to talk about AJ Preller when we get back. And we will have a daily gripe. I promise you we'll have a daily gripe. And actually, let me ask you this Jeremiah Estrada question right now going into the break. And you can tweet me at Matt Skraby, or you can go on the YouTube chat. 97.3 The Fan. Just search that. But we're going to have a fun question with Jeremiah Estrada. What's more difficult? Striking out 13 batters in a row in multiple different outings or in one outing as a starter? Again, what's more difficult, you think? Striking out 13 batters in multiple different outings for Jeremiah Estrada, or striking out a bunch of batters in one outing as a starter? So we'll tackle that when we get back here on 97.3 The Fan. heard these songs far too many times. I actually need to. Oh my gosh. I usually put the dates on these things when I put them in the computer. This one's been running since March 28th, 2022. I need to get a new one. I need to get some new beds and up in here, as they say. Matt Skraby Show here on 97.3 The Fan. We just got one more segment to go. We will get to the Daily Gripe, Joseph. I promise. I think Joseph wants the Daily Gripe because Joseph was the one who suggested the great Daily Gripe. But first, I'm seeing a little bit of Netflix talk on the chat right now. And Baby Reindeer came up as something that people are talking about. I've seen Baby Reindeer. I watched it basically all the way through. Whenever I get into a good show, it's over. I'm going to be done with it in about a day and a half, something like that. Because I usually watch stuff when I'm working, and when I get to work in the back studio, I'm usually watching, either baseball's on, I'm watching baseball, but I will also watch a lot of movies. And so Adam Klug, here's a little bit of a behind the scenes note about Adam Klug. He really enjoys scary movies. And so him and I talk about scary movies all the time, because he's like the only other person on this station that likes scary movies. And so we trade scary movies. One of my favorite scary movies of all time is 30 Days of Night. It's a great movie. It's about a town in Barrow, Alaska, where it's dark for 30 days during the winter, I believe. And these vampires come and hit the town and try to take out all the town because it doesn't get sunny, so they don't have to go inside. What else have I... That was just one of the things that we're talking about. Oh, here's a suggestion I don't know that anybody would see coming. But I watched recently The Exorcist 3, and it's really good. I gotta say, The Exorcist 2, not good. Exorcist 1, obviously a classic. My parents told me that they went to go see that movie back in the day when they were younger, or when they were first started dating. My mom walked out of the movie. And McKee says 30 Days of Night is low-key good. So does Anthony, Josh Hartnett. But anyway, check out 30 Days of Night. But The Exorcist 3, sneaky, scary movie. Very sneaky, scary. You need to get through like the first 30 minutes of it, but it's pretty good. Never mess with a classic. I get it. Exorcist 2, awful. Don't even see Exorcist 2. Exorcist 3, you got to see that. What else have I been watching now that we're on this subject? I watched a ton of things. Oh, I watched Yellow Jackets, which is also, I believe, on Paramount Plus. I watched the Theranos thing with, I can't remember her name, but that's also on Hulu. Anyway, I'm just coming up with these on the top of my head right now, so I have to... my Rolodex is not working at the moment, but I really enjoy all those scary things. Day of the Dead, good one. All of those are good ones. All right, now I completely forgot what I was going to talk about because I wanted to get in the fact that I watched The Exorcist 3 earlier today, and Adam Klug walked into the back room and was like, "Why are you watching The Exorcist 3?" And then he was like, "Is it good?" And I said, "Yeah, it is." Let's talk about San Diego State's football schedule real quick, and then we'll talk about AJ Preller, Manny Machado real quick as well. So the first game is on August 31st against Texas A&M Commerce at home. They do not have a time for that yet. The rest of them, September 7th against Oregon State at home, 7:30 on CBS Sports Network. September 14th at Cal, 7:30 on ESPN. Then a bye week. Then at Central Michigan, TBA. Hawaii, 5 p.m. At Wyoming, 1:30. Then a bye week. Washington State at home, 7:30 on October 26th on CBS Sports Network. And then this is when a lot of the national games start getting going. Friday, November 1st at Boise State, 6 p.m. on FS1. November 8th, New Mexico, 7:30 FS1. November 16th at UNLV, 7:30 CBS Sports Network. November 23rd at Utah State, 1:30. November 30th, Air Force. Time is TBA, but it says Fox Networks. And then the Mountain West Championship game is on December 6th. And Fox is going to be carrying the Mountain West Championship game. I'm pretty excited about the Aztecs football team this year. I want to see what Sean Lewis can do. I want to see if Sean Lewis, I believe what he's selling, but I got to see it in action. Because last couple years... or at least last year. Last year was a tough year. Last couple of years have been tough, but I want to see this Aztec football team back on top like they were for a long time. Lots going on in the chat right now about movies. If anybody's seen Exorcist 3, tell me. Random Ham says the original The Thing with Kurt Russell is great. Ooh. That's true. That's true. Anthony's not swooning for Josh Hartnett. Don't worry, everybody. All right. Let's talk. Duh. Here's what I want to talk about. Jeremiah Estrada, what's more difficult, striking out 13 in multiple outings or in one outing as a starter? And so people were commenting on that in the break. And I was surprised to see that more people think it's more difficult for a starter to get 13 strikeouts. Now, I'm not even saying in a row. Maybe that changes things because it would be hard to strike out 13 batters in a row in one game. But I went with the latter. I went with multiple outings. And the reason I went with multiple outings is because the multiple outings to me is more difficult due to each day you don't know what you got. I mean, you're hoping for good stuff, but one day a reliever might not be that great. And so what Jeremiah Estrada is doing, coming out of the bullpen and just being lights out for at least the last 13 batters, and I believe all 13 batters went down swinging, and that's even more incredible that they went down swinging. No one was looking. Like, they were actively trying to hit him, and he was just striking everybody out. But I do think that coming out of the bullpen in multiple outings is a lot more difficult for a pitcher to do, just because they have to start, stop. They might not have their good stuff one night. They might have their good stuff the other night. If a starting pitcher has good stuff, they're going to have good stuff most likely all game. And I think that's a little bit easier. But a lot of people were saying that the starter is the more difficult thing, and I'm not going to argue with it because I really don't even know. I've never been a pitcher. I'm actually getting shoulder surgery. Say that 10 times fast. Next month. And so I've never been a pitcher because my shoulder's been messed up my entire life, and I blame my parents for that. I hope they're listening right now. They robbed me of being an NFL quarterback. I just want them to know that. I do. All right. Gonna fit these in. I promise we're gonna get the Daily Gripe. Are we still thinking this is AJ Preller's last stand, or has he bought himself another year? Right now, it's still his last stand in my mind, because they still haven't really found that groove yet. They haven't found their way out of the rough patches yet. And I think AJ Preller each year does a good job of trying to build a team that is able to, how do I want to say this? He's trying to build a team that's a little bit outside the box, and he's trying to do it with no money. And this year, at least, the last couple years, he may have spent a little too much money. He may have looked at the shiny object a little too much. But until this team gets, on a roll, until this team wins 90 games, I think this is AJ Preller's last stand. Annabelle says there's simply no reason to keep him. C20 says his hands were tied with payroll. I think he's done a good job so far this year. Yeah, I mean, I do too. We were talking about during the roundtable, him bringing in Dylan Cease and Luis Ariz. Now, some people were very angry about that. Some people were very angry that they traded away the prospects that they did. But quite honestly, have we even looked back at the prospects? I mean, I can, if I really think, I can remember what the deals were. But right now, we're not even thinking about who the prospects are. And, as I said on the roundtable, I think it's amazing. Two things. AJ Preller was able to get the Marlins to pay for Luis Ariz's contract. And the second thing, he was able to get Dylan Cease and block the Yankees at the same time because they had already traded Drew Thorpe to the Padres for Juan Soto. And then the Padres were able to turn around Drew Thorpe and trade for Dylan Cease. I mean, that's outside the box thinking. I don't really see the creativity around baseball that we're seeing with AJ Preller. And I got a tweet in the break from, let's see. Got a tweet in the break. Jeez. Matt Skraby, come on, bro. Padres hype team. Cut payroll by $100 million, and we still seem to be a better team than last year. What's wrong with that? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Also, Manny's not going yet. Fernando's not going yet. Xander's going to be hurt, but he wasn't going yet. Hassan Kim isn't going yet. I think they're in a good spot. Just stay relevant. You do have to go on a run, but you have to stay relevant. And I think that the Padres are going to stay relevant this year. Manny Machado, am I worried about him? Not really. Because every time I worry about him, he ends up with 30 home runs and he ends up with the stats on the back of his baseball card. Because Manny knows, I mean, he's a professional baseball. He's been doing the same thing over and over and over. Unless he just got really old in one offseason, then I don't believe that he's done or cooked, as Braden said. M. McKee, AJ making these moves while staying under CBT equals wizardry. Austin Preller is the king of trades on paper. Agree with that a little bit. Not everything AJ does is bad, but overall he's a failure. I mean, all GMs are failures. All GMs are failures at a certain extent, unless you win the World Series every single year. I can't blame AJ Preller for the way the guys play on the field, but I can't blame him if the team is lacking in areas. Like last year, bench. They were lacking in their bench. They needed veteran presence on the bench. And this year, he's tried to fix that with Donovan Solano, David Peralta, guys like that.
What's annoying Skraby today? Let's find out. It's time for the Daily Gripe.
Jeremy says, please don't make AJ the scapegoat. I'm not. I'm not making AJ the scapegoat. I promise you that. I thought he was going to be gone a couple years ago when, Bob Melvin moved on. Because that's what we were told. But hey, I think he's done a pretty good job this year. All right. Daily Gripe for today comes from Joseph. And we got this on the Discord the other day, the Skraby Show Discord. And it's a great one that I've never thought about before. But when you go into a fast food restaurant, like a Subway or a Chipotle, something like that, where they're making your food in front of you. When people stand in line for, say the line's 7 minutes long. When they stand in line for 7 minutes and then when they get up to order and they have no idea what they're going to order. It's one of the most annoying things on earth. I don't understand it. What are you doing in line this whole time? Like, I know what I'm going to get as soon as I step up there. And I think the employees appreciate that. But everybody behind you does not appreciate that. It's annoying. And I know that people are going to agree with me. And if you're a person who doesn't know what they want to order by the time they get to the front, let me know why you do it. If you're at Subway, you get sandwiches. It's not that hard. If you're at Chipotle, you get burritos or rice bowls. It's not that hard. But that was a great one, Joseph. Really, really great one. Because it happens to me all the time. All right. Joseph says, I don't get why no one orders through the app. I order through the app a lot. Actually, there's a sandwich place around here, and I order through the app all the time. And I appreciate it. All right. That's it for the Skraby Show. Thank you to everybody who joined me tonight and yesterday. We'll be back tomorrow. We're scheduled with Luis Arise. We do not have a time yet, but I'll let everybody know. And I appreciate everybody sticking with us here on the station. Thanks for listening to the Roundtable. Thanks for listening to the Skraby Show. Thanks for listening to all of the station. Ben Wood's back with you tomorrow at 6 a.m. on 97.3 The Fan. Good night, everybody.